Let's see if you guys can hear this. Let me check the sound up.
Hi, I'm Bart Ehrman, professor of religious studies at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and author of the books Misquoting Jesus and God's Problem. I think this book is bigger than either God's Problem or Misquoting Jesus. In Misquoting Jesus, I dealt with how scribes had changed the text of the New Testament over time. In this book, I talk about what happened before the scribes even got to the text. I talk about the original version of the New Testament and the problems that it poses. There are a large array of problems that I deal with in the book, such as the contradictions and discrepancies that you can find among the authors of the New Testament. For example, both Mark and Luke portray Jesus, of course, as being crucified, but his attitude toward his death differs remarkably depending on which gospel you're looking at. In Mark's gospel, Jesus is in despair going to his death. He's silent throughout the entire proceeding, and he cries out only one thing during the entire time. He cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And he dies. In Luke's gospel, which was written later, Jesus is not in despair at all. Jesus is calm and in control until the very end, and rather than crying out, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" he cries out, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." He's calm and control until the very end. This isn't a discrepancy per se. What it is a different perspective on who Jesus was, depending on which gospel you happen to read.
Yeah, my screen is that jacked up on my phone. He shows how scribes have screwed up the, have changed and altered the New Testament over time. But going back to the original ones, the New Testament, unchanged. Where might those be? Even Bart Ehrman will admit any modern translation. Well, not any modern translation. The NASB. Yeah, scribes did get in there, and we can restore because we have such a wide variety of manuscripts. Just in Greek, we have over 5,000 manuscripts in the New Testament, ranging from the 2nd century to the time of the printing press, that those originals can be restored, which is why Misquoting Jesus is pretty hilarious. He gives this example of contradictions and this and that, and then he even says, well, this isn't a contradiction in itself, it's just different viewpoint. Right. As you would expect. But even that, he's not honest. Jesus is quiet and goes to his death, and he's sullen, and he's just afraid. I mean, read Mark and then read Luke and see if that's what you come away with. Is Jesus quiet the whole time up until the time of his crucifixion? Until he says, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani"? Or does he, at multiple points, tell that he has to go up and be crucified? I think Luke adds, or I don't know if it's in Luke or in Mark, where it says, basically the difference is, and they didn't understand this. It's probably in Mark. Saying that the disciples, the Son of Man must go into Jerusalem and be crucified and all this kind of stuff. So it's not even, it's misleading, but then he it's confusing really, because he goes he then goes into this, well, it's not really a contradiction at all, but it's a lie. I mean, that Mark just has him that way. Going to crucifixion, he's silent and sullen, wants to get out of it. That's different. That in Luke's, he's all calm and collected. And what about in the Garden of Gethsemane when he sweats drops of blood? That's in Luke. I mean, it's really grabbing at straws. I'll do another Ehrman video, or well, this will be the end of this one.